NTV.
Welcome back to the #1 breakfast show in the country, Morning at NTV. We're about to talk about the trade disputes between Uganda and Kenya. Last year, Lato milk was stopped from getting into Kenya simply because the Kenyan farmers made an argument there's too much Ugandan milk on the Kenyan market. That was one case. Now, it is maize. Our maize is full of aflatoxins. Well, it causes cancer. Aflatoxins cause cancer. Now, if we are not taking our maize to the Kenyans and we are now selling it to our population, aren't we killing our very own people? So, to see how best we can harmonize this situation between Kenya and Uganda and what the risks are when people eat this maize with aflatoxins, I do have Chris Kaijuka, the chairman of the Grain Council of Uganda, and also Mary Mujenyi. She is a member of the East Africa Legislative Assembly. Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start with you, Mr. Chris Kaijuka. The Kenyans have stopped our maize from getting into their country. That is one contestation. But then, where are we going to be selling this maize? To our own population and kill them?
Thank you very much, moderator. Indeed, Kenya's concerns are quite right. The maize will continue to go to Kenya. My belief is that maize which passes or meets the trade standards. The only thing here, Kenya put up a blanket ban. And that is one of the major concerns which we had as Uganda and as traders. Aflatoxin is a very big concern, not for Kenya. It is a regional problem. There is aflatoxin in Kenya and Tanzania and elsewhere in Uganda. And there have been all consultative efforts to address this by the country. As the ban came on in place, a lot was being done and continues to be done. There is no reason, and I think it would not be right for Uganda to trade toxic maize to Kenya and also to feed it the population.
But the latter might be inevitable, feeding it to the population. Where are they going to take it now? Because they might think the reasons why Kenyans stopped it was bureaucratic. It was not because there were aflatoxins as it is. They might tell the public it's because of some political reasons that they refuse this maize to go in, and they might say it is safe for the population in Uganda.
There are many questions behind the curtains. To date, even though they said maize was highly toxic, as a Grain Council, as a country, I have not known or seen tests done by Kenya to determine what level. I have not seen what lots were confiscated. If that was the case, those are the things we should be able to tell us. Feeding the Uganda population on toxic maize, I believe we've got a law here, and UNBS does a random check on what is on the market. I would not say that there is no aflatoxin. Aflatoxin is there. And it's not only a concern now because Kenya has banned maize to go. It is work in progress to see how the aflatoxin issues are addressed.
Mary Mujenyi, let's also engage you. Was it legal for the Kenyans to have acted the way they did by stopping our maize from entering their country?
Okay. Good morning, and thank you for having us here. The East African community has rules and regulations. The treaty spells out very well how different partners should act should there be an issue that can cause problems in trade. If you look at the treaty, the Article 74, 75, these establish the common market and the customs union. And clearly, also, if you add Article 81 of the treaty, you realize that there are procedures that are spelled out in how the management of disputes are supposed to be handled. You don't wake up in the morning and just say, I am stopping trade between Kenya and Uganda, or with Tanzania, or with Rwanda, or wherever, because there is this issue and this issue. It should officially be put in writing, You inform your partner in writing, the Ministries of Trade, the Ministries of Agriculture, and also the East African community ministries, and inform them that there is this issue, and because we would like to protect our citizens from aflatoxins, which is a right, we will not allow Ugandan maize or Tanzanian maize to go across the border.
But as it is, she only notified the agriculture minister.
But as Kenya. It is, and actually when you follow what is going on even within the Kenyan ministries, you realize the other day I was listening to what the Honorable Munya was saying, who is the Minister of Trade, I think, and he did not agree with what the Minister of Agriculture of Kenya had done. And so you can see that something wrong was going on. I think there could be some other interests, and this I'm guessing, where individuals within ministries, either they want their harvest of maize to increase in price. They are looking for better prices for the Kenyan maize, and this happened with the Ugandan milk. You have actually put it very well, where they said there's too much milk from Uganda on the market, and our Kenyan farmers are suffering. The price of milk has gone down, so what do? Let's now stop Ugandan milk so that the Kenyan milk price can peak. And so they wake up and stop our milk. But
so
that's
could that be the case with the maize?
That could be the case with the maize. We are not sure. That's my guess. That could be the case with maize. And we are not actually saying that Kenyans should not protect their citizens from bad maize. Equally, Ugandans should protect our citizens. We need to be protected from Ugandan maize. But mind you, there is also common standards that are established.
Yes.
We have the Bureau of Standards of Uganda. We have an equivalent in Kenya, the Kenya Bureau of Standards. And these are the ones that should now be working together. There is even supposed to be under Article 81, there is supposed to be an established remedies committee of East Africa, where East Africans from all the partner states are supposed to be represented to sit. That has not been established yet, but there are regulations, and I think where we are going wrong as East African community is two areas. One, that we ideologically still belong to Kenya, to Uganda, to Tanzania, and we are not divided. We are divided. We are still thinking about me. My country should be greater than the other. My farmer should be protected better than the other. My maize should fetch better price than the other. Instead of taking advantage of the different advantages that each country has, in which case Uganda has an advantage in agriculture. Kenya has so many other resources that Uganda should take advantage of by belonging to the same market, and Kenya should enjoy what Uganda is able to produce without putting unnecessary barriers. With these unnecessary barriers, I can see that the integration of East Africa gets further by putting these non-tariff barriers that are not necessary.
Indeed. Mr. Chris Kaijuka, Honorable Mujenyi Mary talks about a very pertinent issue, business or trade protectionism, which is happening. What are we doing to protect our farmers here in Uganda?
I believe it is a matter of policy. But before I go to that...
You had a submission you wanted to make, in addition to her statement.
Related to what the Honorable Mugenyi has stated, I think it is the issue of protectionism. I remember very well March this year, first March, the Business Times, a paper in Kenya, raised concern of how much Ugandan maize, which was cheap, was flooding the Kenya market. And the farmers had raised concern because their prices have gone low. Now, related to that, even they went on to state, January alone, the maize moving into Kenya had moved 6 times fold than it had ever happened. February, it was about 5 times. On 5th March, then this letter came To me, I think it is more of protecting the Kenya farmers than reality.
Because even after the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, prices had gone down, prices of maize, because schools are closed. The biggest beneficiaries or partners who were buying this maize were the school proprietors. Now that schools were closed, the prices went down. Now that the Kenyans are saying they don't want our maize, don't you think the farmers are in a very, very bad situation of quagmire?
I think, indeed, I agree with you. The farmers are and will continue to be. But it's not the farmers alone. It is all the stakeholders in the maize value chain. These include the traders, transporters, the processors, millers, and the financial institutions which fund these farmers. But now, this is the time where government should come out and try to save the situation. There have been a lot of consultative engagement with government by all stakeholders, and a number of recommendations have been given. And I'm aware of the cabinet meeting last Monday to look at them, and I believe the government will come in really to work with other stakeholders to see this situation itself. Among them, the recommendation was Kenya lift the ban, and they put it there, and again they lifted it. But again, we are not sure. But EMEA, acting Director General in the agriculture food, issues that ban. I don't know whether it is proper that it constitutes a policy to close the border.
But then she was clear. She didn't say it was a ban. She said we are suspending importation of Ugandan maize until we talk to all the stakeholders involved.
Well, the suspension, they referred to the, I think they called it surveillance, which they have been doing for a long time, of the maize to be highly toxed. But the point here is, even when the suspension came, it was a blanket suspension. But the word they used is a ban. Ban importation of maize from Uganda and Tanzania. Now, when you put a blanket ban or suspension, as you may call it, it was not fair at all, because there were former traders with contracts to export maize, and they were all affected. And today, even when they have lifted, there is no formal movement of maize as we talk. I was talking to the traders in Busia yesterday. There is no formal, because the restriction which they have come up, we are still looking at it. Yeah.
Honorable Mujanyi, Ugandan traders and Kenyan traders have been asking themselves, where is the East African community in this whole issue to resolve the crisis? What can you do as EAC to help resolve this whole debacle?
As I mentioned, the East African community actually has spoken. I'm not privy to what the Council of Ministers is doing right now. But I also know for sure that the two heads of state, President Museveni has since talked to President Kenyatta of Kenya, and this is why the ban was lifted, at least officially, but all the ban was lifted. Whether the traders are trading their maize smoothly is another issue. But the East African, I saw the Director of Trade of the East African community speaking out and spelling out steps that the community needs to take if there is an issue like that, according to the law established. He particularly referred to Article 81, and if you want, I can read it out to you. It talks about standards, common standards that should be followed, but it also spells out very clearly in the protocol that these are the steps that are supposed to be taken. That has not been taken. And I think the issue of whether it was a ban or a suspension, to me, does not make a lot of sense. What makes a lot of sense to me is the ultimate effect that the stopping of maize coming from Uganda to Kenya has meant to the traders, not only of Uganda, by the way, the traders of Kenya. Kenyan traders are equally crying and complaining. And I think actually part of the pressure that the government
shouldn't they
of
be
Kenya
celebrating because now they have more space to sell their produce?
No, they are not celebrating because I have been following up this issue, and I can see at least what the Kenyan traders are saying. Who is trading in maize, on the Ugandan maize? In fact, part of the irregularity is that you have Kenyans coming into Uganda, going to the village, you know.
Buying it directly from Uganda.
Directly from me as a farmer,
Yes.
and taking it all the way. Now, if there were proper regulations as established by the protocol, there should be traders of, farmers of maize, there should be traders of maize, there should be transporters of maize. All these should be regulated, they should be actually certified, they should be known. They should even
I think
be
I do
paid.
understand what you're saying. If a trader is coming from Kenya directly to a farmer, there's never going to be an assessment of whether or not that maize is at par.
Who is a trader? Who is a trader? And I'm not saying that Kenyans should not come to Uganda and buy Ugandan maize, but there should be proper regulation.
Because even before that maize goes to Kenya, we have to assess the quality.
Yeah, exactly. So how are you going to assess the quality if every Tom and Harry is actually trading in maize?
Yes.
There should be properly registered traders of maize who are given standards to meet, and then through those traders there should be tests being done to ascertain and confirm, and even with a certificate, so that when you move with your maize truck, it is certified by Ugandan Bureau of Standards. And so the Kenyan Bureau of Standards, if they want to do another check, they can do it. But this is trading company A, and it has a proper certificate. It has also a certificate of clearance to show that what they are trading in is actually of good standard. In that way, you can be able to follow. And actually, I think there is even good tax out of that, that is properly regulated and is it followed by our revenue authorities. But what is happening now, look at the season that we are in. This is peak season, when so much maize has been harvested. Is it a coincidence that Kenya puts a ban when they have harvested their own maize, and Uganda has harvested maize, and Tanzania has harvested maize? And so there is so much maize, and now they are looking for a way again of protecting their maize. It's very unconvincing.
Chris Kaijuka, go ahead. Make an addition on that. The fact that it's the Kenyan farmers who are set to benefit from this. I thought it was the other way around, and our farmers are the ones crying. Because if it's trade protectionism, it means the authorities there were trying to protect their Kenyan farmers. And if they are at the losing end, wasn't it a miscalculation, Mr. Chris Kaijuka?
Even if it was the case, it would be short-lived. We produce surplus in the region as a country, maize. Kenya and other neighboring countries, apart from Tanzania, they have a deficit production on maize. So in terms of market, Kenya will always remain a very market for Uganda produce. If you are talking maize, is the point in case today. At the moment, our farmers are highly affected, and there should be some mitigation measures, and these mitigation measures should be intervention by the government. How would we pull that maize from the farmers at the moment? How would we process it and have it standardized, and how do we keep it? Kenya itself will be knocking on the door, not far from now. As they talk now, the maize prices in Kenya are up as they talk today. The only problem which we have been actually facing, as Honorable Mugenyi has stated, I think people have taken advantage of our liberalized cross-border trade. And the people majorly trading in maize of all types of quality are Kenyans. I'll give you an example. The 150 trucks they said which had crossed to Kenya, I would say 90% of those are Kenya registered trucks. And the maize were owned by the Kenya traders. The trade and reality for the benefit of Ugandan to know and understand, because Uganda has been so good. Kenya does not want standardized maize. It's like a policy. Otherwise, they would be coming to companies which have got processed and standardized maize. There are many, but they prefer to go to the farm, as the Honorable Minister stated, load their trucks there, and cross the border. The other very unfortunate things, the Ugandan traders who are also trading in the same maize, they will load their trucks from Mubende elsewhere, they reach Busia and offload. They are not allowed to cross. It is the Kenya traders who will cross, buy that maize from there, and load and go.
There is no assessment on quality.
No assessment, and there will be a very, very unfair trade. While they come, go to the farmers down. For Uganda, you can only move up to the border.
We can't cross in and do the same thing they're doing.
Now, the former traders who enter into contracts with Kenyan millers, majority are members of grain councils, trade maize which are documented and standards well elaborated. And those are few. And even going, you face a lot of problems to cross. And in most cases, if you're exporting, you have to look at who is to transport, not on a Ugandan truck, because you'll have more problem. You have to hire the Kenyan trucks, which have come with goods and going back empty, to avoid these kind of problems. To me, I think it is also good that this thing has come up.
To talk about the broader issue.
To talk about the broader issue. And I'm very, very happy how it has been really handled. Indeed. I thank the media.
Indeed.
The government has been on top of it, all stakeholders, parliament, and I think we'll come up with a lasting solution.
Indeed. Honorable Mujenyi, expound on that. Kenyan traders being able to enter Uganda, unlike us, being unable to go into their own country. Under the spirit of the East Africa Community Integration, is this really fair? Maize aside, they've deported Ugandans from Kenya, 60 of them. I've never seen a story in Uganda here where we deport Kenyans. They are here, no documentation. We have over 10 nationalities in this country, no documentation whatsoever. But then, as we can't go into Kenya, they are deporting us. Our maize can't go, our milk can't go, under the spirit of the East Africa Community Integration. What is happening? And is it fair?
The integration process has had so many pains, so many ups and downs. And I think, I believe, and I hope I'm not saying this because I'm a Ugandan, because I am supposed to speak as an East African legislator and look at the entire region and take the interests of the people of East Africa as an East African. And I believe that's what I would like to do. But it hurts me as a Ugandan representative to the community when I realize that our people really do not value the integration of East Africa.
Indeed.
It has not clicked, and I started by mentioning this. It just has not clicked that when the integration of our people, our markets, our resources, you know,
Yes.
the fact that you could go and work in Kenya, go and work anywhere.
Now you can't be a lawyer in Kenya.
Exactly.
I don't understand.
Now, and eventually, although really Uganda has been sacrificing a lot, if you look at it, President Museveni has been really like the father of this new community that we are living in now. And he has been, I've been following him. Every time there is an issue, he says to Ugandans, calm down. Calm down, accept this. It's not about retaliation.
The solution is coming.
It's, yeah, let's find a solution amicably. Let's talk to each other. Let's mediation. Even the other day, I listened to President Museveni saying the same about this maize trade. And I agree with him to a big extent. Someone has to sacrifice for a cause. And I think President Museveni is sacrificing for the cause, which is a very serious cause of the establishing the integration of our territories, of our people, of our resources, of our markets, so that at the end of the day, it may not be you and me, maybe you because you are younger, to see, to realize the ultimate benefits of integration. It might not be President Museveni to realize the total integration benefit, and maybe his grandson and his great-grandson and so on. So someone has, just like after independence, the liberation of Africa from colonization,
Indeed.
you saw certain individuals taking up the cause and leading this continent into a liberation. Some of them actually lost their lives, you know that. Where are the Nkurumas of this world? Where are the Rumumbas of this world? But still the seed was planted. The community, for example, in Tanzania, I miss the leadership of Mwalimu Nyerere, for example. And I believe that President Museveni is actually a good student of President Nyerere.
He is.
For sure.
He is, yes. He's
really,
a replica.
You can really see that, you know, the same ideology, same cause, and he's still pushing it on. Now, we need more Africans who are statesmen like that, who can think about the African cause, who are Pan-Africanists, whose patriotism is not limited to a small territory and goes beyond my border. He talks about the issue of tribe. Your cause should not go beyond your tribe. This is too small. You can't think that small, really. I think that's part of our problem.
I can't sell my produce there because I'm of a different tribe.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I should not benefit this tribe. I mean, what is a tribe in the global perspective? What is a tribe? We totally lost.
Indeed.
You can't think about a tribe in Uganda, and from there you are going to think about the country Uganda, and say, against a bigger cause, when you actually could be a bigger entity with bigger capacity to withstand the storm of what is happening globally.
It seems like from the analogy you're telling me, it seems like that if President Museveni had reciprocated, we would be dealing with so many repercussions.
Yeah, this community will collapse. If we went by what I see happening around, and nobody is able to say, let's talk, let's mediate, let's talk to each other, which quite often, I was saying that the first time I heard about the banning of Ugandan maize from entering Kenya, even Tanzanian maize, it came to, I just said, President Museveni will talk to President Uhuru and this ban will be lifted. And it happened. They are still, of course, putting hurdles because they still carry the same cause. And I don't think that it's President Uhuru Kenyatta who is doing this. I think there's some small men, again, who are thinking about the tribe, me. And some of them could even be importers of maize from somewhere, some cheap maize, who are trying to sell their maize. And now they are killing the integration of East Africa because they have individual interests. That's what can happen. Sometimes it's corruption. It's not written anywhere in their law. It's not a decision that has been taken by the government, but they are doing this because they are fighting tribal wars. Sometimes tribal wars, you know, within the community. So this is where we are. But Pan-Africanism is the solution. Pan-Africanism is actually at stake. It's in trouble. And I would like to appeal to the younger people, the younger generations of Africa, because I see this even at the level of the East African community. As legislators, I just see what is being said, what is going on, what colleagues are saying on our platforms. You can see that really there is a lack of Pan-Africanism. It's me, mine, I should be better than you. Kenya should be better than Tanzania. Tanzania must do better than Kenya. Then Uganda must be down. This area. We are losing the cause. We are losing the cause. I am Kenyan, and so I should be greater than you, or I am Tanzanian, or I'm Ugandan. There is no, I mean, I'm not, and this does not apply to everyone. I see colleagues, even within the East African community, I can see who are really Pan-Africanists, and you can see that, you know, some people are carrying the cause, but the majority do not. Let the young people pick it up and know that our better survival and the survival of our children and the grandchildren is actually better protected when we are bigger and stand together, stronger, and we stand together.
Honorable Mujenyi, thank you very much for that insight. Chris Kaijuka, let's talk about the issue of the dealers, because they are the most battered individuals in this case. The farmers in Uganda, they can sell their produce to the schools. They reopened. But then the issue is they have to convince these schools that there are no aflatoxins in that maize. But then the dealers who are actually helping our farmers push their maize to the Kenyan side are the biggest losers in this case. Now, if they recover, aren't you afraid that they will be more brutal towards our farmers who raise the crops before they buy the produce?
I don't know what point of recovery you are talking about.
The dealers themselves, when trade resumes and they're coming back to Uganda to resume the trade activities, they might say, if we were buying a kilo at 400, it's 200 now because the situation is tough.
First and foremost, let's look at the effect it has caused. We may take it lightly, but in terms of trade, in terms of money, it has affected not only the dealers you're talking about, the farmers still. Brutality, I don't know at what point it comes. Already, I've told you, Kenya, as I talk,
buying their produce cheaply, very, very cheaply.
Maize is gone up. When there is a demand or prices of maize up, then also prices at the farmer level also increases. It was bad at the time when the ban was there. Maize had come even as low as 300. But since they lifted the ban, although it is not crossing, maize is now moving up. In Kampala here, it's now 590, 600. You can see from 300 to that level. People, even trader, will always react on market and demand. But the point here, indeed, Uganda were hit. The other time, Rwanda border closed. If Kenya closes now, our maize goes beyond even Kenya to go to Burundi. We've had also Burundi close, although we don't take much maize into Burundi, but it goes. A lot of their maize comes from aflatoxin, comes from rather Zambia and Tanzania. South Sudan is also another big market. We should be talking to South Sudan.
DRC just joined the EAC.
DRC, I don't know whether it has been
Hasn't
accepted.
really
It is
joined.
in the process, is on. Consumes a lot of our maize flour and a little of the maize grind. Indeed, school to have opened at this time,
It's good for the farmers.
it's really good for the market. That is another alternative market. You know very well we've got about 15 million people who go to school from primary to university. Assumption is 9 million are boarders. That's a big market. That is a big market. We have a bigger market domestically. We have a bigger market in South Sudan and DRC if we explore. But Kenya itself will remain and continue to be the biggest market. There is no way they can do without Ugandan maize. So the only thing to do to help the farmers so that prices don't go down as you are seeing, we need government intervention. This is what we have been talking, and we are waiting to see how they come in. But on the issue of quality, standardization, this we should not compromise. We've got the East African standard on all grain, maize. And the standards have got a number of parameters. Aflatoxin is one of them. What about the other parameters? Today is aflatoxin. Tomorrow it might be a problem on foreign matters, disease and discolored. So we should look holistically on how we standardize our maize to make it ready and make it safe for our Ugandan consumers and exports.
At some point, they accused us of buying their produce, and then we bring it to Uganda and rebrand it as Ugandan made.
Well, I can
That was a funny one.
clearly state to you,
Really, that's laughable, actually.
and indeed, as Honorable said, it is laughable. Let's just laugh about it.
Yeah, it's
First
laughable.
and foremost,
Yes.
Kenya will not allow even a kilo of maize, even if it is from Uganda, to come back. Now, what about their own maize they're producing? In any case, it's not enough. If we have time and I give you the data, I think Uganda will stand a better chance, and we are well placed if we can prove in the areas of concern. And where there's the area of concern is now quality, is aflatoxin. Just we need efforts to be put into that.
Quality assessment, and will be good.
Then we are ready to go.
Honorable Mujenyi, talk to us about the challenges we face as a country, Uganda, in ending this problem.
Well, you and me are at par in terms of knowing the challenges we face, for sure.
Indeed.
Today it is maize. Yesterday it was milk. It was sugar. It could be anything else. It could be anything else. I think as I said, my guess or my suspicion is that the trader somewhere, someone has an interest, a vested interest in what they are doing, say in Kenya in this case. I hope, I don't want to assume that it can be a government plan to be able to raise the price of maize in Kenya, lower the price of maize in Uganda, so that their traders then can come, who are the majority, and buy what they would then term as cheap Uganda maize, like they termed Uganda milk, cheap Uganda milk. So we have a challenge. It's a big challenge indeed. The East African community needs to step up in terms of dealing with these non-tariff barriers.
Indeed.
Today, it is aflatoxins, and I'm not condoning the fact that there are aflatoxins in our maize. We need to step up our standards. The government needs to invest more in cleaning up our food products, helping our farmers to be able to harvest, dry, store their maize properly. That is the next step that Uganda should be looking at. Uganda has increased production. Now we have a problem of marketing. And what are the causes of that problem? That's where we need to really plug those holes.
And it also looks
How
like,
can
yes,
farmers be helped to put out better maize whose levels of, say in this case, aflatoxins are lower than what is dangerous to the human consumption for the entire region, wherever Uganda is selling maize, including ourselves. In fact, the first person to be protected is me as a Ugandan. It's you as a Ugandan.
Honorable Mujenyi and Mr. Kaijuka, many thanks for having made the time to come to the studio, but we are still continuing with this conversation. We'll only go for a short break. And Kaijuka, he is the chairman of the Grain Council of Uganda, and also Honorable Mujenyi Mary, she is a member of the East Africa Legislative Assembly. I'm having a conversation with these two very, very intelligent individuals on the trade disputes between Uganda and Kenya. How best can we diffuse the tensions that have simmered between the two countries? That's our next conversation. Gentlemen and lady, many thanks once again for actually staying with us right here on Morning at NTV. Let me get to you, Chris Kaijuka. All right. Let's go ahead.
Well, the situation has happened as we have seen. The ban is lifted, but in reality, it's not lifted.
Let's talk about resolutions now. What can the farmers do between now and when this ban is lifted?
We are looking and have made some recommendation to the government, immediate, short-term, and long-term. The immediate recommendation are traders who are holding maize at the border point, in transit, should channel all that maize to available facilities owned by private sector and mainly grain council, where that maize can be standardized, cleaned, and tested to know the status. And we need the government to intervention in this. Two, at the farm level, the farmers should not panic to sell their maize so cheaply because the government is concerned and we will be directed in that. All they can do is try as much as they can, keep their maize in cribs, in clean environment which is well ventilated. And this is the problem. But at the same time, farmers who are near to the processing facilities which cuts across the country, in the same manner we are talking about the traders, their grains should be moved to those facilities to have them standardized. We are talking with UNBS because if you look at the conditionality which they put there, now maize to go to Kenya, an import in Kenya must acquire an import permit from KEFIS. KEFIS is Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Services. And normally, that certificate or import license give details of what the specification of the product would be. The other condition they put that maize must be got from registered warehouses in Uganda, which should be known, and the Kenya would be interested to come and inspect that. Now, most of our traders, 80% of those cannot access those warehouses, and they are not there. So we are working with the government to see that the process of licensing, certifying, the mandate is with them under Uganda warehouse receipt system. It is expedited. Number three, they require certificate of origin. That is okay. And you get it from Chamber of Commerce. But if you look at the traders spread everywhere, who can access that one easily? The other condition is required is we get conformity of quality and standards. That is UNBS. UNBS, I can say UNBS may not be having the capacity to do that. And also when you go to their mandate, they will tell you their mandate is really a set standard. Then when you go to food safety and enforcement, you'd find it in the Ministry of Health. That is drug and food safety. Now, you come to trade where university is, the two bodies should be talking. Do we have the testing mechanism? Maybe it's produced in Mubende, in Kamwenge, where there is no presence of UNBS. How can we harmonize that? And what time? Trade in maize is a sport business. But to fulfill this kind of requirement, I was talking to UNBS, to test and get that, it will take between 7 to 14 days.
All right, Mr. Kaijuka. Let me also bring in Honorable Mujenyi, talk about resolutions. Also during the break, you were telling me about how these aflatoxins may not develop during the farming level, post-handling and post-harvesting, but it can develop during the transportation phase when these trucks spend too much time at the border.
Just look at what is happening right now. Do you think that those trucks where the maize is stuck is a proper storage facility for the maize to be kept safe.
It will even rot in there.
It will even rot in there. And I think the traders are losing more maize by it being stuck in those conditions for that long. I would imagine that it's molding. That's my suspicion. That's not a proper storage condition. So East African traders really are put into very difficult conditions. So for me, the solution is twofold. There is a part that needs to be played by the East African community. The fact that we belong to this common market, same customs union, we need to act. We need to act in a way that is according to the laws, to the protocols established and assented to by our heads of state and owned by the people of East Africa. Mr. Kaijuka has talked about it very well. Let the Bureau of Standards work together. First, let the remedies committee, there is something that is supposed to be called the East African Standards Remedies Committee, Trade Remedies Committee, something like that. It's not in place. Why hasn't it been in place? This would add to the solutions. Immediately there is a problem. This committee now would be the one acting and looking at where has it gone wrong. But also let's have common standards as established within our own protocols. As I said, look at what Article 81 says. It actually talks about common testing regulation. If you don't mind, actually, I could read it out to Ugandans so that they are aware of what this article says. It is about cooperation in standardization, quality assurance, meteorology, and testing. And 3 actually says the partner states undertake to evolve and apply a common policy for the standardization, quality assurance, and testing of goods and services produced and traded within the community.
That is amazing.
This is our treaty.
It will be unlike what we are seeing right now.
Exactly.
Kenya having its own standards, Uganda having its own standards, Southern Sudan.
That should not be the case. We should have one common standard established and
which is there?
Now that is the biggest resolution.
Actually there. It is actually established, but we are not following it. We have it on paper, we are not following it. So at the East African level, East African community level, there is work to be done. That's one part. On the Ugandan side, there's a lot of work to be done. The fact that Kenya is refusing our maize and talking of aflatoxins, we are not saying Ugandan maize is clean. No, it is not clean, but not all of it is bad. We are questioning the fact that there is a ban, a blanket ban, but actually we know that from the time of harvesting, this good maize, this bumper harvest that Ugandans have got, has it been properly processed and stored?
Indeed.
Do farmers even afford a tarpaulin where to dry their maize once they have harvested it?
Or are they doing it in their compounds?
Or they are doing it just in their compounds.
Exposing it to dust and so forth.
So as I said before, Ugandan side needs to really, the ministries of agriculture and the ministries of trade need to work together. And I think the country has stepped up funding for agriculture. I see a lot going on, and I'm very grateful. A lot of seeds being given to the farmers. I have been party to that, because I've been receiving seeds regularly and passing them on in turn to people who can grow them. I know members of parliament have had access to these seeds and other organizations. But now, let's have an opportunity, let's have funding for post-harvesting storage and trade. And I think the Ministry of Trade needs more funding.
Indeed. Honorable Mujenyi and also Mr. Kaijuka, many thanks for having made the time to speak to the country. People are in a state of despair, especially the farmers and the dealers, wondering what is next. But thank you for having, assured the country that all will be well. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
And indeed, to you who has been watching the show from 6:30 a.m. up to now, thank you for that undeterred love and loyalty. I'll leave you with this clip from Ivan Walinyolo talking about the expectations of the electorates from this slew of